been waiting all my moment to heal. Next it's time to optimize. H2O's essential to life. Give it a try. Optimize.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 20 of the H2O Podcast. I'm so happy that you all have chosen to chime in to the podcast today. But before we get started with anything, you know how I like to start things, and that's with a getting the opportunity to control that breath is the step of controlling the day. We may not be able to control the events of the day, but one thing we can control, that is me, myself, and I. So let's do it one more time, just so we can remind ourselves to keep calm, breathe, and stay in control. And that's just one way that we can do that. I am always excited to be able to come to you and have discussions and bring people on the platform that that's helping us to understand and further our understanding around various topics of healing to optimization. For those who don't know anything about my platform, just let me formally introduce to you the mission for the platform is to produce content that raises awareness of relevant topics with the intent that healing and optimization is kept at the forefront. My aim is to reduce SAD, which is an acronym for stress, anxiety, and depression, while increasing HAPPY, which is an acronym for health, awareness, positivity, potentially your best life. Join the wave of these healing streams. So for this season, as I've reiterated, and I'll continue to reiterate, I want to focus on providing a means for people to tell their story with the way they want to tell it. My role is to create engaging questions and facilitate dialogue that enhances the way those stories are told. Okay. In short, a health educational platform ranging from physical, emotionally, and spiritual topics. Now, today, it would seem as if our topic is not relevant to health and optimization, but I would challenge you, encourage you, implore you to expand your thinking when we think about health, because our topic today is very much so tied to our health. Many times on my lives on Mondays or in various podcasts that I've had or any kind of content that I put out, I always talk about the importance of reducing that stress, anxiety, and depression. And we know that there are some hot topics when we think about stress that are kind of mainstays. They're always circulating on the top 3, top 5 list in terms of what contributes to stress. Of course, I'll reiterate the importance of making sure that your eating habits, your nutritional, your physical, your emotional is always intact. But one of the things I don't often get a chance to talk about is the money aspect and the importance of understanding how money can be and has been a great contributor in terms of how we manage stress and how perhaps it could be stimulating more stress in our lives. I've also reiterated the importance of being aware of what it means to be in a chronic state of stress, which ultimately means that your autonomic nervous system, we talk about the 2 branches, your sympathetic and your parasympathetic states. Sympathetic is your fight or flight, parasympathetic is your rest and digest. That these 2 aspects are very important when we talk about being balanced and avoiding overwhelming ourselves with unnecessary stress, or perhaps if we are in a chronic state of stress, these are likely the areas that we really got to get a handle over. Okay, we know there's good stress, there's eustress, and then there's the distress, positive and negatives. But I don't want to go into all that today, but I want to reiterate that because when we talk about money, just bringing up the word money can cause stress naturally, right? But we have a cash flow strategist today that we are going to discuss some of these matters on how we can perhaps expand our opportunities to generate more revenue. But beyond that, we're going to hear his story on how he decided to pull himself up, utilize the resources that he had available to create networks and to grow his business in ways unparalleled. But before we do that, I do want to do a quick little highlight on my parents as usual. The Robinsons. Let me just read this quickly, and then we'll go into our guest bio for today. So you have the Barber's Corner LLC, and you have Secret Hair Technology LLC. Both of these institutions or companies are ran by my mother, my stepfather, Mr. Kenneth Robinson, and Mrs. Andrea Robinson. If you are in the Houston area, then you can locate them at 5520 FM 1960, Humboldt, Texas, 77396. Okay, again, that's 5520 FM 1960, Humboldt, Texas, 77396. That's, again, if you're in the Houston area or in the Humboldt area, Woodlands area, wherever you are. If you are here, then you definitely want to connect with these two. The way that you can connect with Mr. Robinson is calling him at 817-874-3778. And again, that's 817-874-3778. If you want to contact Mrs. Robinson, you can connect with her on her website at secretshair.com. That's SECRETZ as in zebra, hair, HAIR.com. Okay, so a lot of reading to do, but bear with me. We're almost where we need to be. Our guest bio: as a young adult growing up in Chicago, Illinois, he always had dreams of being a business owner. He moved to DFW October of 1995, and we are in, I guess, what would that be? I'll let you do the math on that. 27 years, I guess, now in that area. Because of corporate America, and after seeing and experiencing all of the corporate politics, he started pursuing his dreams and began his entrepreneurial journey on a part-time basis. After 3 years of research, books, networking events, and seminars, he met someone that became his mentor. And 2 years later, he met a self-made multimillionaire that also became his mentor. And by 2002, walked away from corporate America, and in 2005 started earning a six-figure annual income. On his entrepreneurial journey, he has received multiple top producer and leadership success and have shared the stage as guest speaker across the country with top influencers, and we're going to get into that. His most recent endeavor is a multi-billion-dollar global project that has launched June 1st of 2022 that is allowing him to make a positive financial impact in families all around the world. And before we end this interview today, you are going to learn ways that you can connect with this network and potentially move your dreams, your goals, your life to the next level. Okay, without further ado, Mr. Jerome Jp Pierce, would you unveil yourself on camera, sir?
Well, good morning, Mr. Chambers. Good morning, listening and viewing audience. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here with you this morning.
Likewise, we get the distinct pleasure of knowing just a little bit more about you. I know we get a small smidget of a bio from day to day or from week to week during our business meetings, but I did want the opportunity for audiences and clients and whoever to have a chance to know who you are just a little bit more. He's done podcasts and interviews and things like that, so I'm sure he can tell you where to go to get more of his interviews and his platforms. But at least for today, he is on the H2O podcast. And so we're going to learn a little bit more about who he is. But before we do, I always like to start with a few little interesting games for our audience members to get to know who you are. So I got a little rapid fire for you. So all I'm going to do is read out a couple of names, and you're just going to choose the name or the topic that I give to you. All right, you ready?
Ready.
And you just going as quick as you can. Father and sons, Illuminatis or Giordano's?
Giordano's.
Favorite Garrett popcorn flavor?
Caramel and cheese.
Harold's Chicken Shack or, I'm gonna let you choose.
Or jerk chicken.
Okay. Scooby-Doo or Flintstones?
Flintstones.
Speed Racer or Batman?
Absolutely Speed Racer.
Knight Rider or Fast and the Furious?
Definitely Fast and the Furious.
All right. So if you didn't know anything about this man, I just gave you a lot of information in that short period of time. He is a native of Chicago, as you read, or as I read in the bio. And I lived in Chicago for a little less than 2 years, but I was quickly introduced to a couple of things that was there, and that was the pizza. Now I've gone to New York. I didn't live in New York, but I've gone to New York. But I have to say that it's two different flavors, but I am in love with Chicago pizza. And Father and Sons on the west side off of, is that close to Pulaski? I don't remember the exact street, but I'm gonna tell you, that's my favorite pizza joint, but it's not about me. Okay, I got a few more questions for you, and then we're going to go from there. This is kind of our family feud arrangement, if you will. So name a house you never want to be in. I give you 10 seconds.
Trap house.
A trap house. Okay, that wasn't on my list, but that should have been on my list. Okay, name something associated with vampires.
Buffy.
Hey, that's a good one. See, they got to upgrade this list. We're near the Halloween season, so some of these questions may be inspired for that. Name something in a bakery a baker might call his wife.
His oven.
Okay, any more? You got that one?
Is fryer.
That one's not on here. Give me one more.
He might call his wife. His donuts.
Hey, okay, so you got 9 points for his oven, and you got 5 points for donuts. Just a few other houses that you may not want to be in is a haunted house, a jail, a big house, a dog house, drug house, or I guess, that's not a trap house, is it? Drug? Okay.
Yes, it is.
All right, small house, glass house, a cat house, or otherwise an outhouse. And when we talk about naming something associated with vampire, Twilight, Bloodsucker, Garlic Bat, Cape, Dracula, Fangs, or Halloween.
And I forgot about the Lost Boys.
Oh yeah! Oh, that's a 1980s movie, right?
Yes,
okay.
I'm telling my age.
Well, I'm right. Well, I'm not gonna say I'm right behind you, but I'm right behind you too. Okay, we talk about naming something that a baker may call his wife. Honey buns, you said his oven, sweetie or sweet, cupcake, muffin, sugar, you got donut, and dough.
Okay.
I don't know who calls the wife doughy, but go for it. Who is Jerome Jp Pierce?
Well, man, I can tell you, we can spend the whole episode just on that one question, but I'm just an average and ordinary individual who was blessed enough to have the vision beyond my environment growing up, and growing up with a single parent. And, at the beginning of the show, you actually talked about the stress point, and finances being one of them. I was one of those individuals that didn't have a whole lot. but whatever I did have, I took care of it. And I don't know, and I didn't learn this at a young age in elementary school. I just knew I wanted more than what I was living in at that moment, you know. So I did always have a dream of being a business owner. You know, I'm one of those individuals, while most people reading the cartoons in the newspapers, I'm reading the business section. You know, had no idea what it was I was reading, but I was just drawn to it. You know, so again, just an average and ordinary individual that was blessed to have my footsteps ordered, if you will, you know, to get to this point. And because I did not have a college education, can't blame that on anyone. I did attempt to go to college, and I can't blame nobody, not the system, not anything. I can only blame myself, you know, because I didn't take it serious at that point. So therefore, you know, I had to work extra harder, or even harder, if you will, when it came to employment. So I'm blessed to be here and to be able to share some of those experiences, some of those trials and tribulations, to let everyone know, if I can do it, I don't care what your background is, I don't care what your past is, you can be just as much more financially secure now than I ever was.
Beautiful. Well, and seeing that this is October, and I read in your bio that you moved to the DFW area October of 1995, that makes 27 years, I believe, that you've now been in the DFW. What was life like before you made the transition, moved to DFW? I'm assuming you were still in Chicago at that time, or were you coming from somewhere else?
Still in Chicago, still in corporate America. In fact, I was working out of the Merchandise Mart building downtown Chicago. And the company actually wanted to open up a office here in the DFW area. Now, mind you, I thought all of my success and financial gains was going to come from corporate America. I had submitted a proposal that we actually open up an office in Norfolk, Virginia. Okay. But after them doing their research, and they were privy to some information I was not, so they selected and chose my idea, but just in a different geographical area, which happened to have been here in the DFW area. Okay. And because I did submit that proposal, they asked if I wanted to be a part of the growth and part of the office here. Absolutely. That was the whole point of me submitting that proposal in the first place.
Nice, nice. So you arrived to Texas during the hype of the Chicago Bulls era, is that right?
That is correct. So I got a chance to witness, in my opinion, the greatest player ever, and to witness something that hasn't been duplicated since then. So yeah, it's been an amazing time.
Well, and I think it's appropriate for me to ask this. This is not on our script, but I have to ask this. Saying that I moved to Chicago years later in 2013, 14, there was still a very, very heavy presence of the Jordan Chicago Bull years. How did that era have an impact on the Chicagoans during that time? And not just athletically, but drive and all those other pieces. How are you impacted by that time of championship in Chicago?
I believe that's an excellent question, Roger. From the standpoint, Chicago had not been in the top echelon of the NBA league, if you will. Okay. So when you have a individual fresh out of college, all right, who come into the league and change the game. Okay. When I mean change the game, his style of play, his apparel of playing, because they went from them tight, skimpy shorts to the big shorts, okay? In addition to that, the endorsements with Nike, all right? The bald head, all right? And then again, his style of play, but also he gave a lot of individuals in Chicago hope from the standpoint that he was actually cut in high school as a basketball player. But yet here it is, he ends up in the NBA and winning multiple NBA championships and rings. Okay. Now, how did it affect me? Was the standpoint that he was never a quitter. Now, unlike most people, I admired his skill set that he learned, about business off the court.
Wow.
Okay. Because Michael Jordan, even now, and years, a decade later, was the first athlete to ever become a $1 billion income earner. Okay, now there
in the sports arena.
Exactly, because you hear about so many players losing their money. Okay, but because of his name and his brand, and he surrounded himself with the right people, and because he surrounded himself with the right people, he was able to elevate his business life to that level. And I think another last thing in closing on this comment, Michael Jordan is the only player in NBA history that the NBA does not have rights to his name. He was able to take them to court and win the rights to his name, because they were selling his name on jerseys, they were selling his names on other apparels, they were selling his name on video games and things of that nature. All right, but he won that case, and quickly the NBA went and made everybody else in the NBA redo their contracts so he wouldn't start a movement, if you will. So if I don't know if you could think about, I can't remember exactly what year it was, but there's some video games out there that has an image of Jordan. They have his number on there, but they do not have his name on the jersey like the rest of the players.
Wow. That I didn't know. And I figured that would be, that maybe you'd be able to bring out some other nuances around the Jordan movement. I was still very much so, I was in elementary at that time, but even then I remember the global impact that he had just around the world. Yes. Looking at those Nike commercials and moving overseas and seeing the impact that the NBA has had. Now, when I moved to China, Kobe Bryant was the big thing there. I mean, you saw, I stayed in Shanghai for a short period before I moved to my city in Wuxi, but you saw and I think it was Kobe's last year when I moved out there, but I mean, they had the subways decked out with Kobe Bryant. I mean, everywhere, and how basketball is such a huge sport in China. And I can't help to think that Jordan had something to do with that over these years, because some of my older students, I taught adults. And so the older students, I mean, they sing of Jordan's praises to this day. And they almost had, were teaching the younger generation, yeah, you're talking about Kobe, but it was Jordan, the one that really started this big basketball movement. So anyway, that's something to really think about in terms of the business aspect, and how you really picked up on how his business skill set was something unparalleled.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And it equates to your surroundings, your environment, who you put yourself around, and who's going to be in your corner. So I'm a huge believer in that even to this day. And I contribute to some of the successes that I've had in my life was the same thing. Who I surrounded myself with played an integral part in the level of success that I had, because I couldn't have done it without them.
No doubt, no doubt. Okay, so we've talked about the Jordan, we've talked about just that time period in which you've moved from Chicago coming to Dallas. You get to Dallas, and what is that turning point for you? Where you
Okay.
say, okay, I mean, I see it in your bio. You said, okay, this is a corporate experience. It sounds like you're tapped out, you're exhausted. It's you're growing. Something else is starting to happen. What is that turning point, if you will?
Well, people excel in different environments. Okay. And even up to different levels or certain levels. Well, when I made that proposal to open up another branch office in another location from Chicago, and I was asked to be a part of the opening of the office in the DFW area, it was also discussed that I would be running that location because of the success that I've had, some of the things I was able to do in my role at that time that had never been done in the history of that company. And that company had been around for 30 plus years. Okay. But when I got here, no, prior to getting here, I had started training individuals to work out of this office. So I was flying back and forth from Chicago to DFW, and those individuals was flying from the DFW area to Chicago for training. And this went on for about, 6 to 8 months or so. Now it's time to actually open the doors, do the ribbon cutting ceremony and things of that nature. So the closer we got to that time, and after I had moved down here, I had a discussion with the vice president of the company, and this individual told me that one of the persons that I was training was going to be my boss, and he was going to run the office. I tell you, that was a big letdown.
Sure.
And I can only contribute it to one thing, and it wasn't discrimination. Okay, I would contribute it to the fact that this person had a college degree, and I didn't. Okay, and again, I can't fault the system. I can't fault that individual. I can't fault the vice president. It was my decision not to take college serious at that time. But even for me to get to this point as a district manager on my own accord and my work ethic, I thought was sufficient because I had to work twice as hard as anybody else, even with a degree at that point. And I was doing extremely well, bringing in revenues that the company's never seen, creating projects that the company's never done, and successful projects on top of that. So that was the turning point for me in regards to, that big one letdown was a turning point for me, and said, you know what, I'm really now going to pick up my childhood dream of being a business owner. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how it was going to be done. I didn't know when it was going to be done. I just knew it was going to get done. Okay. And so that's why I went on that research journey, if you will, of finding my way, of being around in the right environment, looking for this. I was looking for my niche, if you will. And, and fortunately enough, God blessed me with that niche, because even when I say God blessed me, my church had a entrepreneurial day. And one of the individuals that came up and spoke, his words resonated with me so much that I couldn't sleep that night. So it was on my spirit. So we connected, and here it is. Here I am today.
Wow. Well, okay. Well, I mean, there's so much to unpack just in what you shared. Determination, drive, sustainability, keeping a vision. There's so many areas that I can go and ask you, but I'm going to tunnel it and channel it in this sense, or narrow it rather, and ask. Let's zoom out for a bit. What have you learned in the last 2 months that you consider to be valuable information, and why do you consider this information to be valuable?
Excellent. Another excellent question. Success have different meanings to different individuals. Okay. And what one person's level of success may not be another person's level of success. Okay. To a single parent, a level of success is being able to live in a nice neighborhood, in a nice school district for their children, and being able to afford living there. Okay. Another person of success would be able to be to the point where they're financially independent. They don't have to work for anyone. They can spend more of their time as a philanthropist or volunteer work or donating to worthy causes. Okay. I would say that's my level of success, first and foremost. Okay. That's where I want to be. Mm-hmm. And that's inspired by the life we live is not for us, but for those who follow. If we were to look at it from a spiritual standpoint, because, I don't want to, put my faith on anyone else, but one of the people that I follow is Jesus Christ. And when he lived his life, he didn't live it for himself. He lived it for me and for us. All right. Now, I would like to say that my goal is to really help people because, again, looking at it from a spiritual sense, the more, and even there's individuals that I've followed and books I've read, the more people that you help get what it is they want, then you get everything that you want. Okay. So with that being said, I'm constantly on a drive of making an impact in individuals' lives because I am a prime example that regardless of what your past is, does not determine your future. I did not have a college degree and was able to earn a substantial amount of income, and not to speak bad or put anyone down or even put the educational system down, but I was able to earn more money than individuals with college degrees and master's degrees. Okay. Hopefully that answers your question. It seems that I might have went off on a tangent a little bit.
Well, it was a good tangent because there again was a few other things that I did want to go back to, but I didn't have in our original questions. But seeing that this is a platform that deals with spirituality and things like that, I don't push any particular brand of spirituality on anyone. But since you brought that up, can you speak to the isolation that we tend to have when it concerns spirituality and cash or spirituality and money? Of course, my company is called Healing to Optimization. And oftentimes we restrict that to perhaps just the physical or perhaps just to the mental, but we often leave out taking care of our basic needs and wants, and the means that we get that within our current system is currency and cash flow. So can you talk about perhaps how cash flow, as a cash flow strategist, how the spiritual aspect is married to the way that we perhaps heal in the areas of finances, and we use it very spiritually. How does that resonate to you, and how does that make sense to you?
Okay. In my experience and speaking with many people, mentoring, coaching, teaching thousands of people in my 24 years of experience, I would like to believe, or not like to believe, I believe that it all starts with the programming of the mind as a young adult, as a child, as we get into the young adulthood. Our environments at that time play an important role on our beliefs today. Okay. So the environment that we grow up in, everybody isn't allowed to grow up with a silver spoon in their mouth or grow up in a family that is extremely wealthy or well off financially. Okay. So we become a product of the environment we grow up in, especially if that environment is the ghetto, is the hood. You got different levels of ghetto, you got different levels of hood, but it still becomes, our mind becomes conditioned to think a certain way because of those environments. Hence, another environment that affects the way we think about money and how we should live is some of the old school preachers, if you will, and ministers saying that money was the root of all evil. You can't take it with you, things of that nature. And I'm a person who believes that if a person is bad and they come into money, that money is just going to enhance who they really are.
Sure.
Okay. And I remember my mentor saying he had a conversation with a bishop one day, and he said, man, you keep talking about money, and money is not going to get you into heaven. And so my mentors asked the bishop a question. Okay, I can understand your point and why you say that, but tell me what's too much money so I can get into heaven, so therefore I'll make a penny less than what's too much. And it just made sense to me, because when you think about it, now we hear a lot of old school preachers, and I don't hear too many to this day saying it, but I do recall hearing a lot saying it then. That again, money is the root of all evil, but yet the church is constantly having fish fries and bake sales in order to what? Raise money for a ministry or mission work or a new building or a daycare or whatever. The church still needs to operate on money.
No doubt.
Okay, in fact, on money, it says, in God we trust.
No doubt.
So don't trust in the money, you trust in God. Now, how do I equate? When I was a child in elementary school, I went to a Catholic school. Wow. And I was an altar boy, okay? And we were given an assignment. That assignment was taken from the parable of the talents. So the father gave 3 of us X amount dollars, each one of us. We were to go out and do something with those dollars. I was the one that came back with the most money from those dollars.
Wow.
Okay. I was very creative. I actually created a raffle, and I got real, kind of cheesy with it, if you will. My mom used to go to the farmer's market and get a whole bunch of stuff, bushels of stuff from Gary, Indiana, and she had some walnuts, and I took those walnuts and evenly cracked them open and put little messages in them. You're a winner, or you didn't win this time, but congratulations on trying. Or I would put all kinds of different messages in there. And then of course the winner would get a big stuffed teddy bear for girls, and then a football for boys. Okay.
Right.
So, and my mom was like, what are you doing this for? Where is this coming from? And I told her the assignment, that was coming from the altar boy school, or a Bible school that I was attending for altar boys. That right there lasted with me until this today.
Beautiful.
I believe that was the birth, spiritual birth, if you will, that God has in store with me, of being a business person, being creative, and at the same time understanding the things that God has blessed us with and how money should grow. Okay.
Yes.
Money should grow. All right. Anything in life, if you notice, everything in life grows. Everything. So anything God blesses us with, whether it's our thinking, whether it's our life, whether it's our children, even our house grows. It grows in value. Okay. So everything has a growth process. But when we get it, and if we're not careful and we put an end to those things, we're not operating within the spiritual laws of manifestation.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I think that you definitely, if you haven't already, need to put that parable, your parable, in a book and share that, because that's very impactful. And that's again, there's so much that's in that to learn, in addition to the story of the talents. Okay, let's zoom out for a bit. I want to start narrowing this down, but I have a little quick game for you again. If money isn't an object, who do people hire to help to make their life easier?
Who do people hire to help make their life? Well,
if money isn't an object.
Most people would hire a butler or a maid.
You got it. There's a few others on the list, but you got the number one list, the number one answer to that question. Name someone who make money off of giving advice.
Make money off of giving advice. A lawyer.
And once again, you got the top rated answer for that one. Lawyer, therapist, doctor, financial planner, fortune teller. Name a street name for money.
A street name for money.
A street
Wall
name
Street.
Oh, that's a good one. That's not on this list, but that's a good one. Any other one you can think of?
Actually, I can't. I'm stuck.
I'll give you a hint. It's in your title that you gave for this interview.
Cash Flow Street.
Cash Street.
Cash Street.
At the video arcade, what might your date do to make you mad?
At the video arcade, what might my date do to make me mad? Say they're ready to go home.
Okay. That one, let's see, is that on this list? That's not on this list, but I'm gonna give you one more shot. Something related to money.
Oh, they want more money to play the games.
Okay, I'll go with that one. They can say, I forgot my money, always win, cheat, or lose a lot. I got one more for you before we go into these last few series of questions. Name a term you'd use for someone who has a lot of money.
A term for someone who has a lot of money. I would say they are extremely wealthy.
Wealth, for whatever reason, it should have been on this list, but they have rich or filthy rich. But
Okay.
I think they're thinking on a lower scale where we want to be as wealthy. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay. How do you define financial success, and do you consider yourself to be financially successful?
I guess that would go back to how do I define financial success? If I could use as example Bill Gates, someone who has done extremely well with Microsoft, first and foremost. He's done so well with Microsoft that he had to start a nonprofit organization to help offset some of those taxes, if you will, because we know that wealthy get taxed quite a bit.
Sure.
That's the country we live in. It's the rules. If a person doesn't like it, move to another country and start your own world. Okay. But
we're going to come back to that one.
But as long as we hear, you have to learn how to play the game to benefit you. So that's exactly what he did. He learned how to play the game. So instead of getting taxed on all of the success he's had from Microsoft, creating that nonprofit in an effort to give back, if you will, is the ideal scenario. So to me, that is my goal. That is my dream. I have a vision of helping homeless people. Okay, putting together a nonprofit organization, and not just here locally. I would love for it to grow nationally, and if possible, if God willing, and if I have the time, for it to grow globally. Okay. Now, I would say that there's a level of comfort when it comes to finances, meaning that you're able to pay your bills, you're able to get a few of your wants, you're able to get a few of your toys, those things are a level of comfort, but sometimes we get too comfortable that we don't even grow any further, because there's a lot more we can do outside of that. But again, some people just want that to be their level of success in life. All right. But then we have a lot of individuals who struggle to make ends meet, living paycheck to paycheck. Okay. So to me, my inspiration and my level of success is when I have more money working for me that I'm able to give back a large portion to make this place a better world than when I found it. Okay.
Nice. And something I want to draw out that continues to be an undercurrent and a central theme to what you've been sharing, and that's service to others, giving back. And I think that that's something that really needs to be reiterated when we talk about healing, health, because that speaks to a much larger vision. And this is tied to so many deep spiritual levels that we can't even imagine of how many people's circumstances would change, not just in their present, but how they could change their generations to come by transitioning them into a much healthier financial space in place. Mm-hmm. So I just want to draw that out of what you said. Okay, so we're starting to wrap some things up, but before we do, I got a few more questions that I think are important for me to delve into and ask. In your estimation, why do you think words like money, wealth, or rich have been such a conflicting and dirty word?
I would say environment, as well as what we were programmed to think growing up early in our lives, and possibly the lack of.
No doubt, no doubt. When you talk about financial advice, I mean, and knowing I don't know what side of Chicago you grew up on, but you talked about it really doesn't matter. When you've grown up in poverty, there is a psychology that gets adopted with growing up in poverty. And, I've heard many different people's opinions about that, especially coming from both. I've been in the expanded conscious world. I've been in Christian corners, for quite some time. And the discussions around money are still very much so conflicting. And whether, there's so many reasons why, and I won't go into that right now. But what was that piece of advice, perhaps? You gave us a story I'm going to call the JP parable and the walnuts, or the altar experience. What was the piece of advice that you felt that just catapulted you into thinking, you know what, this has changed my perspective? Well, you kind of touched on that. You said you went to a service and there was something that kind of haunted you, and it just stayed with you for years. So unless you want to touch more on it, I'm going to move past that, because you talked about that. Is there anything else that you want to touch on, that piece of information that really changed your mind? Oh.
Yes, I would also say anything you want to do in life, okay, whatever career path you want to choose, whatever hobby you want to pursue, whatever project you want to create, or whatever change you want to inspire, having a mentor is one of the key factors to gain success in that endeavor. And for me, having a mentor was absolutely insane. And here's the crazy part. Growing up as the youngest child of 6, not once did I ever want to listen to my older brothers or sisters. Not once did I ever want to take their advice, okay? But again, because of books that I read, because of seminars I attended, because of my inspiration of wanting to get to a certain level of income, I couldn't get there on my own. And I learned this after the fact, but here's the turnaround point in my entrepreneur journey. My mentor had a heart-to-heart conversation with me. Now, keep in mind, this was after me having success in corporate America. So I'm at I think I know it all stage in my life, okay? I had a chip on my shoulder. I had an ego, all right? And he sat down and talked with me, and the statement he made, we had an hour and a half conversation, but I remember this statement more vividly out of that conversation. And he said, JP, when I can get you away from you is when you will become successful. That right there, and when he first said it, I almost got offended.
Sure.
But I believe the Holy Spirit kind of flipped the script real quick from, the carnal thinking to a more spiritual revelation, if you will, that I was blocking my own success. Lean not on thy own understanding, because an entrepreneur journey is different from a corporate career path.
No doubt. No doubt.
Okay. And that right there, like I said, this was over 20 years ago that it was shared and said to me. And I remember that it as if it happened yesterday.
Wow.
Okay. So I'm constantly at a point where I have to ask myself, am I getting in my own way? I even have a mentor today that I've had for 24 years. And this mentor that I've had have never guided me in the wrong way. And everything that was suggested and everything that was challenged has led to a successful outcome or results, if you will. So, and not only he's my mentor, we're good friends, and I wouldn't trade him in for the world.
Nice. Well, before we get on the topic of decentral, I want you to share, this is another central theme that keeps coming up in what you're sharing about mentorship. Can you share with us your top 3 mentors to date that has made the most impact in your life?
The ones who, okay, I'm glad you narrowed it down, because I have several mentors from afar, meaning books that I've read, okay? Yeah. But individuals that actually made an impact in my life, there's 3 distinct individuals. One being Kelvin Collins, which is the gentleman who shared with me, JP, if I can get you away from you, is when you will become successful.
And let me, because I didn't do that any justice, let me touch that real quick, because that's a little too deep to just kind of walk past. Now, I have my view of what I think that means, but this is not about me. I want you to just give us a quick interpretation of what that meant to you, about you being in the way, or if I can get you out of your way, or however he put that. What did that mean to you in short?
I was attempting to reach a certain financial goal in my life, and I was doing everything I thought I should be doing. Okay. At this point in my life, I was in a stressful situation financially, okay, which was causing other areas of my life not to be as great.
Sure.
Okay. So if I'm on an entrepreneur journey and I've been reading these books, but yet haven't been able to accomplish those successes, it's because I was thinking a certain way. I was thinking in such a way that corporate America programmed me to think as an employee. So you can only operate within certain parameters as an employee. As an entrepreneur, there is no parameters. Okay. But yet, if you operate on certain principles, okay, your chances of success are inevitable.
Love it, love it, love it. We're gonna stop that one right there, because we're just gonna have to do a separate interview for that, maybe in the metaverse. But okay, we'll stop that one there, because that will open up. That has already opened up so much more to be discussed, and I want to get into that, but I'm not even going to open it because I won't be able to do it justice in the short time that we have. So you have now been give me those last 2 mentors real quick to make sure that I stay integral to my questions.
The second one would be my current mentor, Emmanuel Bernstein, out of Houston, Texas. And we met as a result of Kelvin Collins, okay? Emmanuel and I got to know each other. We've got to grow into it as well. He's introduced me to some very powerful individuals, as well as, kind of really put me in position to, earn the level of income that I was seeking. And I would say the third person that have made a positive impact in my life, I would like to say that third person would be an author by the name of John C. Maxwell. Back in 2003, I read a book from John C. Maxwell or several books, but the one book that I actually read that had a huge impact in my life was Thinking for a Change. Never forget it. I oftentimes go back and refer to that book. And those would be the three individuals I would consider a mentor. Even John C. Maxwell to this day is still a great mentor of mine. I did get a chance to meet him on a few occasions and share with him. Currently working with him right now, not directly, but indirectly, which was a blessing in disguise, because someone from, a couple of decades ago comes full circle and we're back, together again, is just absolutely mind-boggling to me, and letting me know that it was meant to be, so to speak.
Okay, well, this is a great way to segue into this company called Decentra. And, we got about 5 to 8 minutes left in the interview. I want you to just share with us, what is this company? How did you get involved with it? And what are you seeing about the future of this company?
Okay, let me sum it up this way. Because of the business success my mentor had, and because of our longevity business relationship, we had an opportunity to participate in a beta test, okay, of a program to help individuals' lack of knowledge when it comes to finances in a new technology space. A lot of times we don't succeed or we don't invest is because of lack of knowledge. That beta test yielded some great rewards financially. The company decided to launch globally and upscale this platform that was the beta test. So as a result of that, this platform is designed, one, to educate individuals in the space of cryptocurrency, metaverse, NFTs, DeFi, Web 3.0, staking, and in things that we don't know a lot about. Prime example, we didn't trust Bitcoin when it first came out. Therefore, a lot of people didn't invest in it, but there's a lot of people who did, who became wealthy. Well, now Bitcoin is considered a digital asset and a legitimate asset because it's being traded on the New York Stock Exchange. It's being traded on the Forex market. People are creating IRA Roths accounts and mutual funds behind Bitcoin. So we missed the boat on that. But what people don't know is when they were investing in Bitcoin, they were actually investing in other developments from the blockchain, because you can't buy Bitcoin without the blockchain. You can't send emails without the internet. So the blockchain to Bitcoin is what the internet is to emails. Now, pretty soon, Web 3.0 is coming out, which is a blockchain that provides internet access that's unhackable. So all of these, and the metaverse, all of these projects derive from people investing in cryptocurrency. So if you don't want to miss out, you have to have, as an investment standpoint, you want to be able to, okay, how can I get in? How can I get in and fit in? How can I fit in and get in? Okay. So Decentra actually provides an educational platform that allows individuals to, in short 3-4 minute videos, of how to take advantage of this major transformation of wealth in the technology space of Bitcoin, metaverse, NFTs, DeFi, staking, and things of that nature. It incorporates a investment strategy that has been around for decades that we were not privy to, but the banks that we were putting our money into was doing with our money. Okay. And I'm gonna leave that there, because that's a whole nother, episode in itself as well. So what Decentra has done is created an educational platform that has a membership, if you will, an ecosystem that allows individuals to earn and learn at the same time. Okay. And also have access to that gentleman I was mentioning that was my mentor, or is my mentor, John C. Maxwell, who's the #1 authority as it relates to business, leadership, and personal growth, written over 85 books and translated in 50 different languages. He's the authority when it comes to entrepreneurship. All right. He's a $1 billion brand all by himself. All of this is in what we call our Decentra University. Okay. And it's been said by an extremely wealthy individual, a formal education will earn you a living, but self-education will earn you a fortune. And that's what we're doing, is creating a global community of like-minded individuals, independent entrepreneurs, as well as customers, in effort to expand their financial portfolio, their financial understanding, because if we position ourselves in front of this transformation of wealth, it's going to reward us very handsomely. It's going to manifest itself in such a way that we can break those generational curses of living paycheck to paycheck. So that's what I'm excited about, impacting individuals' lives all around the world. In fact, my mentor and I are on that same page. We set out a goal to impact 10,000 family lives over the course of the next 30 days. We've done that twice, and we're going to do it again. And then once we hit that goal, since we've done it 3 times at this point, I already know, speaking it into existence, I already know from being with him so long, is that we're going to have to up that goal or make it a bigger goal, go from 10,000 to maybe 100,000, or maybe to 1 million or 2 million people. So I'm flat out excited about that. This is the biggest project that I've actually worked on in my 24-year career of being an entrepreneur. And it's already shown dividends, if you will, of individuals' lives being changed, individuals' lives being impacted. And I just thank God for the vision he's given me, and me understanding my purpose and assignment, if you will. And when I pursue it with passion, it's like a dream come true.
Beautiful, man. I mean, you can tell that you are in your passion, you're in your purpose, and what a great way to surmise all the things that you've talked about in this short time, about where your heart is in terms of serving and the way that you want to show up and serve. It sounds like that many of the components that you talked about meet your value system in this company of Decentra. Yes. Obviously, there's much more to discuss, but we're gonna cliffhang it like this. If you want to know more about JP, his journey, please reach out, contact me. I got his information. I'll be able to share that with you. And if you definitely want to learn more about Decentra in ways that we've already shifted into the future is now, so to speak. Yes. So I want to say, if you want to learn ways on how you can get ahead of this future that is quickly, rapidly moving and unfolding before our very eyes, then please give me a call or an email. You can call me at 832-512-4834. Again, that's 832-512-4834. Or you can simply email me at Rodrick, RODRICK .H as in heaven, the number 2, O as in octave, the number 1 @gmail.com. Again, that's my name, Rodrick .H as in heaven, the number 2, O as in octave @gmail.com. I'll put all this information in the bio on YouTube, so you'll be able to access that at your leisure. Other than that, it's been a fantastic interview. Mr. JP, you know we're going to have to do this again because there's
absolutely
the pieces that have to be unfolded in this chapter. And so thank you for your time. I got to get my behind ready for a few other things I got on my plate. And I know that you got plenty of things that you got to take care of yourself. Fantastic, man. I'll see you on the other side. And what I wanted to share when you said, if you don't like what you're experiencing in this country, go to another one. I was going to add a tag and say, or build it in the metaverse. On universe. It is possible. It is possible to make that money and to make your life in a whole virtual world that has already come. And I'm excited about it. I have some things that I'm working on right now to educate myself in addition to the Decentral University. But I palaver, I gotta go. You all have a fantastic evening. JP, I'm going to play my commercial song on our way out. But thank you so much. And
thank you.
I'll talk to you soon. My pleasure.
Been waiting on a moment to hear. Next it's time to optimize. H2O's essential